All cities have brands, but very few have a brand anything like Singapore's. It's modern, it's not tied to anything the country did hundreds of years ago, it's pretty positive, and it's getting increasingly famous across the West and elsewhere. So, what's behind it? When we look at the key narratives taking place around Singapore, on social media, on the news, a few key themes become apparent. One of these is that there's a real turn in British culture in particular towards seeing Singapore as a very aspirational kind of startup state, which is almost the stay as lean, effective business. This is very much pushed by big political operators like Dominic Cummings, like Tony Blair, and it's increasingly starting to find currency in the States as well. Media narratives tend to place Singapore in something of a Goldilocks zone, where it's seen as both being pretty politically and financially stable, and yet also as a hub for innovation. Obviously, the nature of these narratives is reflective of the news cycle, but these tones and this way of framing it is pretty consistent throughout the election, throughout the relationship with the US, and throughout all the different changes that are happening geopolitically in the region. On the other hand, the narratives on social media around Singapore tend to skew a little bit more cultural. So they talk a lot more about concerts and the cultural buzz that they create across Singapore and the wider region, or they tend to be more comparative. And by that, what I mean is they tend to be people in different countries, so neighbouring countries in the UK, in the US, as mentioned, who are looking at general policy, general characteristics about Singapore, comparing it to their own countries and finding their own countries wanting. So this could be anything to do with land reclamation from the sea. It could be to do with tax policy, attitudes towards innovation, all sorts. And this is really, really growing. This change is super pronounced in the UK. So a couple of decades ago, everyone was talking about wanting our Silicon Valley. Around the time of Brexit, there was a lot more chatter about London becoming Singapore-on-Thames. So is the Singapore brand going to keep on growing in this way? Or is there going to be another new aspirational city that's going to also have these copycat monikers around the world?